Hello baby queers and welcome back to my channel. It is time for some more neurodivergent TikToks. You love it, you're here for it, and so am I. But you know the drill. Before we get started, go get hydrated, grab some water or some tea, and then we'll look at some TikToks. Are you hydrated? Good, let's go. Yeah, that's what people don't understand. Because then when you suddenly feel safe enough around them to unmask, they're like, wait, but you never done this before. And it's like, well, not when you were around, no. Because you get so much critique for your traits from a lot of people growing up. So you just learn to hide them with masking. But then people are weird about it when you unmask. What is that bullshit? This entire thing is like, this was your idea in the first place. That people weren't supposed to act that way, so we didn't act that way around you. But now you're surprised when we dropped that, because we felt safe around you. Guess that was a mistake. I really hope she didn't hurt herself on the last one. Please tell me you know how to fall. But listen, it goes so well going around corners so many times. Like, you just do this walk and you usually manage to slide by the corners, but sometimes when you're wearing something different or something new, you just like manage to get caught on the corners. Or if you have like straps on your t-shirt or something, you're gonna get caught. Listen, I don't know what to say about this. It's just, I cannot count the amount of times this has happened to me. The answer is too many, but the exact amount, we'll never know.
Be nice.
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to find it?
It does.
It do take a while to find it, because it's hard to have people help you, because even when you try to explain to them how you want it done, they're probably not going to do it the exact way you do it. And then you sit there like this. Listen. Not asking for help is still not the best idea ever. Like, there are things you gotta want to do yourself because of this exact reason. But still, sometimes it's gonna be better to ask for help with things, because guess what? We all need help with things sometimes, you know? But better pick carefully what you chose.
I have autism and I'll cry if my schedule is thrown off. I have ADHD and I can't follow a schedule at all, ever.
The discussions in your head must be absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You're just sitting there like, okay, this is the schedule. We have to do it like this or I will cry, because this schedule is perfect. I worked it out for so long. We have to do it this way. But then the ADHD is like, but what if we just don't? And then the arguments start in your head. And honestly, y'all, can you just agree on something, please? Because it's funny for TikToks, but it can get very frustrating. But I'm still glad we get to laugh about it together.
And then it... What? Did your clothes offend you? My sweater is uncomfortable. You've been wearing it all day. Yeah, it was okay until it wasn't. How does that work? I don't notice something's bothering me until the feeling builds and hits a sensory threshold, and then suddenly I'm like, get it off me. Oh, kinda like how you go from enjoying a social interaction to wanting to disappear in like a second. Yeah, exactly.
The amount of times this has happened, because, especially with clothes, it's the same with my sleeves. Like right now, I'm kind of cold, so my sleeves are still down, but I can feel them constantly. And at some point, now I'm noticing it too much. Why did I do this? But now I'm noticing it way more. But then suddenly, like I know for a fact, if I go grocery shopping or something loud, or if like one of my neighbors starts being loud, it's suddenly gonna be too much stimulation. So to like take out things that are overstimulating me, like rolling up, now I'm talking about it literally, you're gonna do the thing that's like easiest. So like if it's your sweater or just your sleeves that you can roll up, you're gonna do that. And also, if you need to disappear at parties or social gatherings, at least text someone you left so they won't be looking for you and worrying about you.
What is my gender? Am I autistic?
What am I doing with my life?
That is a good collection of questions. Good luck finding the answers though, because especially if you have autism, figuring out your gender, what you vibe with, may be harder. And what we're doing with our lives is just generally, it's such a vague question, because you always you are doing something with your life, but is it even the thing you want to be doing with your life? And what do you really want to be doing with your life? That is ultimately the hardest question. But what you're doing with your life, apparently collecting stuffies or something. I saw a lot of stuffies on your bed. So that's something positive to be doing with your life. Come on.
What were we talking about? I don't know. I forget. Here's a blanket. This doesn't work. What about this one? This is perfect. Thank you.
Hey, what did I get up to do again?
Getting food because you're grumpy and hungry.
Thank you.
Is it alright if we reschedule? I spent too long being perceived today. They said, oh good, I was just gonna suggest the same. Nice.
I think that's why it's perfect if you have other neurodivergent friends, because sometimes having friends that are neurotypical is a little bit harder, because if they're understanding and you just you can't explain it to them well, they will understand and be cool about it, obviously. If not, what are they doing calling themselves your friend? Literally, do better. But it still hits on a different level with other neurodivergent people, because they just understand it on a deeper level. And you just know for a fact, any of the anxiety of that you probably have with neurotypicals, if you keep zoning out and they're trying to have a conversation with you, you're just gonna be very anxious. They're gonna be mad at you. But if your friends are neurodivergent, you're just gonna be, oh, I'm so sorry, I zoned out. Can you say that again? The amount of times you say something and just wait, did I tell you this already? And they're like, I don't know, but I forgot if you did, so tell me again anyways. It's great.
Welcome to episode 3 of I Thought This Was a Quirk. Apparently it's a symptom. Episode 2 is still in my drafts. It hasn't even been long enough for me to post that one yet, and I came across another one. Really? This one too? I used to do that constantly as a kid. That's not even maybe that's kind of relatable to me. That was a constant experience for me as a kid. And one of the hashtags is autism. They can't keep getting away with this.
The scream. But isn't this storable? Didn't Didn't every kid do this? Because especially if you're like at a family gathering or something with like a lot of weird relatives that you don't know and you don't want to talk to them because you're only gonna see them again in a year and like who even knows, and you don't care. You were just like forced to be there because your parents weren't gonna leave you at home alone. So you're just sitting there and you do this. It wasn't. Are you telling me not every kid did this? Are you actually telling me not every child did this? I'm okay then.
The cardinal fucking rule for ADHD is do not stop moving. Do not sit down. Do not take a break. And I broke it. I came home from class. I was gonna go to the gym. I had so many plans. I was gonna clean my apartment. And then my phone was dying, so I went to plug it in. And then I was like, I'm not done using my phone though, so I'm just gonna sit on the floor for a second and use my phone while it charges. I know better. All motivation gone.
You know, I don't know if you go anywhere by car. I've just so hugely started charging my phone while I was driving places. Because you're probably gonna be constantly on your phone anyways. And then you're gonna want to go somewhere, but the battery's like kinda low. So you just charge it in your car. And by the time you get there, it's probably gonna be okay, because then you don't have to sit home at home. Because, no. Did I think about cleaning my shower for a while? Yes. Did I actually do it? No. But yesterday evening, I went to the gym for the first time in like a week because I was sick. I went to the gym. I came home. I was just gonna take a shower, but I was suddenly like cleaning my shower and my entire bathroom at like 9:30. That's okay. Listen, if you're like doing something, it's easier to keep doing things. So I was like, we're just gonna go with it. If the motivation hits, you just go with it no matter what time it is. But if I would have like sat down to eat something first and then went to take a shower, I would have still showered, I think, because after the gym I really feel like I need to shower, but I wouldn't have done anything else. So don't sit down. Listen, it's gonna happen again though. Like, you shouldn't, but at some point this is gonna happen again. Oh well.
Let me tell you how this is gonna work. You ain't gonna tell me shit. Listen, suck my shut up, listen to me. Suck my you man. Listen, suck my you will be here in the court on Monday. You'll be here sucking my well, listen.
I guess. I mean, I did say useless arguments and discussions. I wasn't picturing this, but I guess if you want to oversimplify it, it probably ends up seeming like this. Because the ADHD is a bit more, I don't want to say reckless, but like not good at like planning or committing. Whereas the autism is probably not that spontaneous, so those voices are gonna clash.
All right, welcome to episode 1 of I Thought This Was a Quirk. Apparently it's a symptom. A brand new series where I duet every time TikTok is like, hey, would you like some relatable content? And I'm like, yes, I would love some relatable content. And they're like, haha, it's autism.
Again, the amount of times I change my mind about things because I'm like, oh no, this is pretty okay. Because on some days it's literally fine, but some days it really isn't. Because when your mood's like already kind of bad, or if you're already like kind of overstimulated by a lot of things, without realizing it, you just get very emotional and like very upset at things. And also remembering how you feel, come on, who does that? Literally, it's so like in the moment, if I'm like feeling a really strong emotion, I'm like, even if I remember, oh, okay, listen, you're not gonna feel like this forever. And you're not even going to remember what it feels like. It doesn't help in the moment. But still, then I calmed down. And I was like, wait. Like, I remember I was, like, mad at something. Or I remember being really happy about something. But I can't really recall what that actually feels like. Until I'm in that moment again. I'm just like, oh, right. Kind of knew that wasn't normal, but I guess it is in a way. If you're not neurotypical, at least, it's quite normal.
I use a lot of hot sauce all of the time. And now I know why. Because texture, bad. Texture in mouth, very bad. Mouth burn, tongue, mouth, whole thing, burn so much, no feel. No feel texture. Texture, no problem. Eat.
That makes a weird amount of sense. I like certain things to be very strong. And like I like a lot of sensory input in a way, but it has to be a specific way. And somehow mouth burning from spicy food or like hot sauce is usually good. It's usually good. I thought that's why I use hot sauce. As for textures, it still just makes so much sense. Like, that makes sense. I mean, listen, whatever you have to do to get yourself to eat food in general, or like if it helps you eat things you know you should eat because they're healthy for your body, but you normally can't bring yourself to eat it because, okay, don't eat fruits with hot sauce. That seems kind of gross, but listen, if you like it, go right ahead. But if it helps you even like eat vegetables, because vegetables are also kind of unpredictable texture wise, because if you cook them a little bit longer, they're just gonna be like really soft, you know. So it's the texture is unpredictable, which is probably even worse for me than texture itself. Like if I know what texture to expect, it's fine. But if you use hot sauce, that might be a good hack.
That's what that is? What? All my life, even today, I could not do things unless I was listening to something.
Again, the whole difference from neurotypicals to neurodivergent people. Like a lot of neurotypicals are gonna be like, oh yeah, no, I can't clean without music. It's just so boring. They can. They're just not gonna enjoy it because they probably don't enjoy cleaning because most people just don't. So for them, it's just so much more enjoyable, but they can still like do it without music. But if you have ADHD, it's just so easy, or like it's at least so much easier to just drown out the voices in your head that are like, no, you want to, but you're not going to. And suddenly you just overwrite that with like really dumb music. And sometimes it's hard to find the right music, but it has to be loud enough in a way, right? It has to be complex enough, but not too complex, so that your brain's like busy with that, so you can just like trick it and just do things because it's not really realizing it because it's just focusing on the music. I think that's brilliant. And there's a reason I used to blast music even as a kid when I was tidying my room, because I was like, I know I have to. And that is just like turn on music. And it wasn't I would be too bored otherwise, so it's just like really not enjoyable. It was literally I know I'm not going to tidy up otherwise. Even as a kid, I knew it. How did it take so long? You know? Oh well.
Everyone's always like, oh, you don't act autistic. And I'm like, babe, we've not made eye contact for the last 20 minutes. And I was just about to tell you everything I know about trampolining.
Tell me everything you know about trampolining. I don't have the best attention span. I'm probably not going to remember all of it, but please tell me. And if I needed an update course, you're going to update me again because you love talking about trampolining. So please don't make eye contact with me and tell me everything you need to, everything you know about trampolining. And then we're good. Let's do it.
You have a missed call. It wasn't missed.
It was ignored.
Yeah, I feel like that's just true. Because I know we do it ourselves too, but I feel like a lot of other people are probably also like, oh yeah, no, that child's just special that way. They're just a bit quirky, you know. Well, there's a reason. There's a reason they seem quirky or weird to you, you know? So I feel like people do ignore it, or at least like try to push it to the side. Like, it's nothing, it's just, they're just a bit different. Oh well.
Just when I thought love was dead, someone DM'd me and told me I put the "aw" in autism.
I mean, listen, that was definitely another neurodivergent person, and I'm kind of here for it. Listen, flirting is hard, but it's honestly just kind of funny.
What people think getting diagnosed as autistic is.
Hey doc, so I watched this 30-second TikTok and I can confirm I'm autistic. Can I get diagnosed? Of course, let me just do you a referral. Hang on a minute, I can just diagnose you right here. It'll be way quicker.
What it actually is.
Hey doc, so I've been doing years of research and I think maybe I'm autistic. Okay, but you're literally 27. Why does it matter? Well, autism affects people in adulthood too. Here's a list of autism criteria I relate to. I can see you visited us a few times for mental health reasons. Are you sure you're not just anxious? I can refer you for CBT if you like. Well, funny you mention that. The anxiety and everything else could be because I'm autistic. Unlikely. Well, I'd just really like to be referred for an autism assessment. I relate to so much of the autism criteria and it would explain a lot. Alright then, do you know how I refer people for an autism assessment? No, isn't that your kind of area of expertise? Isn't it yours? Anyway, I've been looking at it here and it says for your first appointment, it's at least a 3-year wait. Is that okay?
Yeah. Honestly, it's the same kind of argument with like trans people and gender affirming care of like, oh, they just think like you wake up one morning and you just go to the doctor and be like, hey, listen, I've seen this TikTok, or just like woke up and I think I'm not this gender, I'm a different one. Like, can you prescribe me hormones? Or can you prescribe me hormones? Kind of what people think. And it's ridiculous either way. Because the first time, you would think like a psychologist would kind of know you. But when I brought up that I probably have ADHD with her at some point, she was like, oh yeah, no, but like, why do you think that? And I started rambling and I had a whole fucking list. And then she just kind of boiled it down to like a few points and was like, oh, but like, I mean, the whole walking somewhere and forgetting what you're doing, like we all do that. Like, that's what a lot of doctors or psychologists are going to do. Like, if they even ask why you think that. She eventually just like told me places I could go. But listen, it's tricky. My like primary care doctor at the time literally just told me that, oh, but why do you want to, like, everyone's getting one nowadays. Like, everyone? Really? Everyone? You're telling me I'm going to go into that waiting room full of old people, probably, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, no, sure, we're all getting one. What are you doing? What are you doing? Doctors are frustrating sometimes.
The question that I get asked a lot is, how did I know that I'm autistic and ADHD? The answer I always go back to is that I always felt like I was observing the human experience, but struggled to participate with the ease that I saw in my peers. I felt like I was playing pretend every step of the way. Even when I was alone, I would experience some sort of shame for my natural behavior. I was always anxious and confused, wondering why it seemed like everyone accepted the way things were without question. Why can't I do the same? What's wrong with me? And then I came across information on autism and ADHD, and then it was like light bulb moment after light bulb moment of being like, holy shit. It was affirming in ways that nothing ever was before, and it was like, finally, my experience is being represented. It was in such nuanced ways that I thought no one else could understand, and that's why I was so sure about it. I invite you to share, in case it helps others who are questioning, what made you sure that you're autistic and or ADHD.
Well, there you go. Because literally, I know if you don't, or at least for me, if I don't have an official diagnosis, even if I have it, I'm not gonna lie. Like, listen, I'm officially diagnosed as ADHD. There are still moments I'm like, well, but what if I'm just pretending? We're just so dumb. Because you lived inside your head your whole life. You know. And newsflash, if neurotypicals might start thinking that they might have autism or ADHD, they might think that for a while, because they're like, oh, I kind of relate to some of this. But eventually they're just going to move on and forget about it, because they realize it's not that, or they just realize it's not that relatable to them, and that they don't struggle with a lot of the things that we struggle with, or that they just can't relate. But guess what? Chances are, you've gone over this so many times. You've questioned it and just found new things you relate to, or like people telling the experience that you relate to so many times, and you're still questioning it. What are you doing? Why? I'm also talking to myself, by the way, but why aren't we sure? Listen, we should be sure at this point, because my god, no neurotypical is gonna sit here and, you know, relate this much. Just no. I've heard this for so many people that don't really think about it too much. That do just think like a lot of these things are just like quirks they have. Until the kids get diagnosed and they're like, wait a second. Hang on. You're telling me all these things that my child does is neurodivergent, but I'm doing those things. Well, newsflash, I guess.
Neurodivergent people often have DSPS, or delayed sleep phase syndrome. This means that their circadian rhythm is different from a neurotypical circadian rhythm. Instead of it being easiest to sleep from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., the delayed sleep phase is more like 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. There's probably a lot of reasons for why some of our brains evolved this way. And this doesn't mean that you can't sleep during other hours, especially if your schedule requires it. This just might give some insight into why you're often staying up late and potentially sleeping in late. There's nothing wrong with you, it's just how your brain is built.
I just want to share because literally, like when you're a teenager and you do this, it seems very normal to people that you want to sleep in and that you want to stay up later. It's very normal to people. But then you grow up. And you realize that it wasn't just a normal teenage thing to do, because you still find it very hard to fall asleep earlier. Listen, the only time I can go to sleep early during the week is if I've built up enough sleep deprivation from going to bed really late but having to get up early the days before. Then I can go to sleep at the time I need to, at like 10 or 11. Otherwise, I'm gonna go to bed at like 11 and struggle to fall asleep for like over an hour, because my god. So yeah, there you go. If you can build your schedule around it, that's great. If you can't, you might can also sleep deprive yourself sort of regularly.
Ooh, it is bright out here.
That's better.
Honestly though, because especially if you're gonna be like at home when it hits, because you can just like hear everything, and you hear dogs barking outside and children screaming outside, and then you feel your clothes, and then your neighbors start screaming, and like a lot of things build, and it isn't always like a cute solution of, oh, I'm just gonna like put on sunglasses and then it's gonna be fine. The amount of times I say it's way too bright or the lights are screaming at me is too damn high, because they do be screaming. They do be screaming. And fun fact, last week when I was sick, it was even worse. Literally, my noise, like my ears were so sensitive. My eyes were very sensitive. Why is it worse? I'm really glad it's back to normal now. But normal is already not cute. But it is the way it is sometimes. But listen, that's not saying if you can't find ways to accommodate it, to like maybe just like constantly walk around with like noise cancelling earplugs or sunglasses. You should obviously do those things because they're gonna help you. But still, with the world we live in, it's probably gonna end in that sort of less cute, but just honestly necessary second scenario, and necessary just in the way that, honestly, if you try to suppress it further at that point, it's just gonna make you feel worse. So anyways, I wish you all a very like sensory friendly day or days. Honestly, I hope you enjoyed these videos or found them funny or informational in some way, and I'll be back in 3 days, and don't forget to stay hydrated.